Let's get down to business to defeat the Huns. Did they send ye daughters when I asked for sons? Nor the sonnets bunch I ever met, but you can bet before we're through, Mr. I'll make a man out of you. Hello, and welcome to
Nostalgia on Trial,
the podcast where we take our nostalgia goggles, we take them off, and we have a critical look at media from our past that's nostalgic to us. It might be films, it might be TV shows, it might be books. I don't think that's ever going to happen. But we are going to kill our idol. No, what is it? Kill your darlings. We're going to kill our darlings. For your entertainment. So I'm one host. I am Nathan. I am terminally millennial. The doctor said I have 4 days to live. And this is your other host.
I'm Marie. I'm also a millennial, and that's why we're here. We're here to
talk about Disney.
Talk
like
about
millennials
Disney.
do. Talk
like
about Disney.
Yeah. Just make each other's millennialism worse.
It's true. We swear this is not a Disney podcast, but we had some unresolved comments about Mulan last time.
Yes.
When we were talking about Lion King, so now we're gonna resolve them.
Yep. Yeah, we are talking about Mulan, the 1998 Disney classic. Significant to me, but in kind of a weird way, I guess. I'll just start by sharing a photo, which, it kind of sets the context here. I'll share. I'll describe it for the listener. So this is me. It's probably a year after Mulan came out. I'm wearing traditional Vietnamese dress, the ao dai. It's actually a pink tunic top with gold flowers, white trousers, and
it's very cute.
Thank you. I'm standing in front of our plants out back, our blue hydrangea flowers. And so one day my mom just pulled me aside and was like, let's do a photo shoot in your ao dai. And I'm like, okay, because I never wore this. This is the only time I wore this. It was just one of the things hanging in my closet. I thought it was very pretty, but I was half Vietnamese. I'm half Vietnamese. And there wasn't like a systematic way that my parents introduced my heritage to me as I grew up. It was more scattered, bits and pieces of it, and so this is one of those. And yet, in spite of that, in spite of not really feeling Vietnamese, I would say that I was very aware of representation in media. I mean, I didn't call it that at the time, but if there was Asian characters in stories, I kind of identified with them. And so when Mulan came out, I was very excited about that. I mean, and like realized like on a subconscious level that there was a character that looked like me, and that was really important at the time. And I also love the story. Always liked adventurous stories. I was really into female warriors at the time, so Joan of Arc was a big influence. I guess I saw Mulan as like an Asian Joan of Arc. And even though I didn't remember a lot of details from the film at the time, but there was one scene that was also really life-changing, and we'll get to that later. But
life-changing, wow.
Yeah, I would say life-changing.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's kind of my quick memories of Mulan, why it's nostalgic, and again, there's not a lot. It's really just a few key things, but significant things for me. What about you? What do you remember?
Oh gosh. So Lion King is one of the best movies ever made. Mulan is fine, right? I don't dislike Mulan, but I think my sister was always the big fan, and I've probably been forced to watch it a lot of times in my life. A few too many times, probably. That's probably the truth. I love the songs. I remember the songs very fondly. Make a Man Out of You is an absolute banger. It's one of my favorites. And what's her love interest called again?
Shang Li.
Li
Shang.
Li Shang.
Yes.
He's so hot in that in that song. Anyway, but Yeah, it was mainly my sister. It was a girl power movie. She loved everything girl power, Spice Girls, this, anything she could get her hands on. And so we watched it a lot. It was on rotation. And yeah, but it's a film I've watched with many people I love in my life a number of times, family, friends. It seems to be one of those go-to. We all kind of like it. And so I've seen it a lot, twice this year now,
Wow.
because we many Christmases actually. I said to you that we watched it at Christmas this Christmas, but many Christmases we somehow our family can't agree on what to watch, and we end up watching Milan again. So
Oh, that's interesting.
break glass in case of emergency, right?
Yeah. Well, that's fascinating because I mean, yeah, I haven't actually watched it that many times. I mean, probably fewer than 5 times in my life, which is I know weird, considering how significant it
Still a good
was.
amount of times. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. I mean, so when I was little, we didn't have a copy of it. I don't know why. I guess I didn't ask for it. My mom didn't really like the movie. I did get the little booklet, though, the story booklet with the cassette that Disney put out for their movies at the time. So my main experience with Mulan growing up would have been with that audio booklet thing, and maybe I'd get it from the library a few times on VHS. But um, yeah. So okay, rewatching it though as an adult, I guess I do pick up on a lot more than I used to. And I'd mentioned this earlier, but
okay.
I have to admit I find much of the film to be quite tedious, if I'm being
Yeah.
honest. Yeah, which is
So I'm not gonna lie, I rewatched this today and I was pretty bored. I don't think, well, from our initial discussion, I don't think I was as bored as you were. We'll come on to that, but um, it just really slow in some places, isn't it? It's just
it's
really slow.
very slow.
But
Yeah,
I don't know if that's just because I've watched it too many times and I'm too familiar.
I don't think
So
so, because I was bored
I want to
too.
hear your
Yeah,
thoughts.
no, I was bored
Yeah,
too.
wait,
Well,
yeah, but like what by what?
even the beginning, okay, the very first scene was pretty cool, like the beacons in China. That was neat.
Yeah.
But then you go into this classic Disney village chaos scene, but there's like humor, but they're also trying to introduce a lot of cultural elements at the same time, like things about the religion, about women's place in society, superstitions, all this stuff, and it's just a lot of info dumping at once, and but not.
Oh, I think it
Um,
was reasonably efficient in its delivery.
I mean, yes, but it seems so tedious. Maybe it's the way
I
the
actually
keyboard
think they
plays it.
spent too much time layering on thickly how much about honor. Everyone was like, honor this, honor that, honor, honor,
Yeah,
honor.
yeah. It just feels a bit overdone. Um, Especially, the audience here is small children. They're not going to be able to really grasp every piece of that.
Guess
Um,
that's fair.
and then there's this other element, but well, yeah, this other element which is strangely more Western, I think, which is her close relationship to her father, um, which kind of
He's a
sets.
handsome man.
Yeah, yeah, he is.
It's for a lot of handsome men in this movie. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, I mean, I think they did a good job with the character design, um, for sure.
Oh, I
It's
don't know about that in general, but
Oh,
carry
really?
on.
Oh, okay. Um, but yeah, that kind of sets the stage for the rest of the story, which was kind of interesting, because that seems very different than what I would expect from the setting and everything. Um,
But it's just the start you mainly find boring. Well, there's more parts that are
no,
tedious because that's a
there's
strong word.
more.
Tedious is a
There's more.
strong word. All right, what else is tedious?
Well, okay, then we shift to introducing the ancestors and Mushu, right? And
Yeah,
why are the ancestors all American and British all of a sudden? Like, it's so weird.
I
I was dying. I was like, why? All these other characters have really overdone Chinese accents, and now, like, just
yeah
forget it.
yeah
Ancestors can be white. It works. Okay.
yeah. That's. I'm not gonna lie. I think what bothers me most is that Eddie Murphy is like really American, but
Yeah.
like he keeps doing this weird like American black pasta thing. like really over egged, like literally to the point later in the movie there'll be like organ music playing, and I don't get it. It's such a cultural mismatch. But I mean, I guess Eddie Murphy gets to do whatever he wants, you know.
Yeah, I really dislike Mushu. We'll talk more about that later. But
We'll talk about Mushi later on. Yeah, I think we're going to agree on this and carry on.
well, it's just that they work so hard to establish this ancient Chinese
Yeah,
setting, and then
yeah.
boom, Americans, Disney shenanigans. Um, it was a bit
The way they were
much.
carrying cowboy hats was insane. Sorry, carry on. I'm keep interrupting. Go on.
Um, yeah, yeah, okay. And then they introduced the antagonists. What did you think of the Huns?
Shen Yu was a powerful presence and dominates this movie.
Oh, really?
I feel like you're about to insult Shen Yu here, but I love Shen Yu. I don't think he has much for character. I think he's just evil. He just walks around menacingly, but such a powerful presence. And the voice actor for him, I can't remember his name, but whoa, so good. I actually love Shen Yu. He's like a force of nature. But carry
Really?
on. Why do you what?
He's extremely
You've got a
one
look on your
note.
face.
Extremely one note. I mean,
Yeah, he just I don't know.
he has no personality except he hates the Emperor. I mean, he's a Disney villain. I guess I should cut him some slack, but yeah.
So there's two types of Disney villains, right? There's the ones that steal the show, and then there's the ones who just do a really good job of walking around looking menacing, and he is the
Yeah,
latter.
this is true. And to be
Well, there's
fair,
three types of Disney villain because there's also the twist villain, which is like the worst villain. But
oh,
carry on.
oh, yeah, like in Wish. Um, I want you to watch Wish so we can roast it.
You just keep saying bad things about Wish, but you love it.
It's so bad, it's good. Anyways, yeah, I guess I shouldn't criticize him for doing too much and then doing too little. And I will say Shan Yu was very scary when you're a kid. Like I remember that
Oh,
creepy feeling. So
terrified.
yes, I'll give him a pass. Um,
I don't know. You could say though it does feel like sometimes like different parts of the movie are written by completely different writers.
yeah, I wonder if they were. What did you think of the animation? Because I know you're very much into animation and animation style.
I can go on a length about the animation, so maybe let's come back to that.
Okay, we will. Because I'm curious. I want to hear your take. Um,
What did you think of the animation though?
I don't like the animation, but I can't really put my finger on it. Why?
Okay, what?
Oh dear.
I didn't want to go into the animation right now, but what?
I don't
All right,
know. Yeah, go ahead.
briefly, right?
Yeah.
I talked about the Lion King was like up to the nines, right? There's nothing about the Lion King is subtle, right? Everything is really overblown. I think Milan is the opposite in a good way, right? So the first thing that popped out at me is how much digital processing and 3D and CGI is used in it, right? Not in like it was glaringly obviously like ugly way, but just I just was paying attention, and it looked way better this time. Like between these very few movies, Disney finally figured out how to like apply the digital effects and not have it look terrible. Like I liked The Lion King, but as I said, they just kept using this like digital post processing lighting, like some kind of inverted bevel, whatever, and it looked bad, it looked tacky. But I thought this movie blended so that was a big pass. And then I thought like the keyframe animation of all the characters was really smooth. Um, and yeah, and then there was just a lot of subtle work with the coloring. I like how all the characters, like all the women have rosy cheeks, all the men don't. But it's subtle enough you don't notice it. It doesn't draw attention. And then the places where they place the cheeks differently for each of the women, and it helps add like a lot of character to their face. Which is good because a lot of the women have like very similar generic Asian quote unquote faces. What I mean
Yeah.
by that is not that all Asian people look the same, but that I think while they try and portray the characters as looking different, a lot of the characters still have kind of similar looking faces where like they've just looked up how to draw an Asian face, and But that helped. I don't know.
Wait a
So
minute.
I thought the animation was generally good.
I thought you said you didn't care for the character design.
The character designs are different. I don't like the
Mm.
animation, but I thought the character designs were bad. There's the fat guy, there's the short guy, there's the thin guy. Then there's loads of other people all look exactly the same. Like
Yeah.
the main characters, right? I don't want this. This isn't my episode, but let me just say this: most of the side characters I just thought were undercooked in
Mhm.
writing and in design and general. But carry on.
No, I think that's
I thought the
true.
main like Milan and so forth were well designed. But
Well,
yeah.
the little cricket might not as well have been there. He had no personality. He's
Oh
just-
man, the number of animal sidekicks. There was a horse, there was a cricket, there was Mushu, there was also the dog at the start.
yeah, yeah. And yet, most of them weren't that remarkable. I mean, except for Mushu. And
But
sometimes
they sold toys of that dog. Don't know if
they
you remember this,
did.
but they sold toys of that dog. Yeah, even though it was only in the movie for 2 minutes.
Wow. I mean, Disney, there's a chance to sell some merch.
All right, but what was it about the animation for you?
Well, I'm starting to question myself because I was watching it on YouTube. Like I rented it on YouTube and it seemed a little choppy to me, but that might have just been my reception. I don't know. Um,
I don't know. I was watching it on Disney and it was all right.
okay. Yeah, I don't know.
The older films do look rough sometimes.
I didn't like the scenes where there were a lot of characters in them. I just didn't I didn't think they were that well animated. I liked the scenes where there may be one character or two characters in them. I think they did a nice job kind of centering the comp around that person, but I don't know.
That's fair.
It
I was reading up on this, and apparently they were using some pretty like early CG software to do the large crowd scenes, and it might have just been that it didn't look very good.
interesting. Well, the the armies were very well done though. I assume that was CGI too, probably.
Oh yeah, that was CGI. Maybe that is the part that was good.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive. Um, all right, so
Oh, here's a question though. What did you think of like they tried to do this fusion of a certain like Chinese art style, like specifically I think it was the Qing Dynasty kind of art style around that time with like more of a like a Western style. Did you like the kind of the art style?
yeah, I think it was a good move, and I think it helped a lot with the world building. Um, so I did appreciate that. It might have been a little too much, but overall I liked it. I thought it
Yeah.
matched the film. What did you think?
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it looked different from most Disney, and I just appreciated the distinctiveness.
Yeah. Um, so I think some of the better parts of the film happen when she finally joins the army. There's like this pivot in the film, and things start to come together a little bit better because you're following a core set of characters, and but then you've got that iconic song that we talked about earlier. That's
Love
great.
that song.
Ha-
So good.
Have you noticed that in this movie, it feels like songs move the plot forward so much? Like her decision to go to war all happens in a song, not even a song, just like a little montage. And then um her kind of becoming a soldier all happens in the song. I think there's another song like that too, but it's kind of
I
interesting.
I think that's a fair criticism. That's one of my main criticisms of Frozen. That like the majority of the movie happens in like two or three songs. Was it that bad though? Like with her deciding to like become a soldier, there's like there's the whole scene. Obviously, there's the scene where her dad goes forward, and then there's the confrontation at dinner, and then she's looking at her parents arguing, and then yeah, there is just the montage then where she does it. But I thought like that part specifically, I thought had a decent like breathing room in the story.
Usually I would have thought so, but for some reason on this rewatch, I just thought it was really, really sudden, and there was like no thought process verbalized. It was just maybe that's the point though. Maybe it was just completely
Did
impulsive. I don't know.
Do you think maybe there was no foreshadowing? Because before this, we've never seen her pick up a sword or take any interest in being a soldier or anything. Whereas if
Right.
she, like, for example, we saw her having like a fake duel with her father or something, or just
Yeah.
I just-
There's really no. The only thing that she does early in the film is she like writes some calligraphy on her arm, but like we don't really get to know her personality or what she's interested in at all. We only know that she failed at getting engaged with the matchmaker and everything.
she's good at chess. She does a good chess move.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's
But you're right.
it's
You're generally
understandable.
right. Yeah,
Now, I will say that
well, we do. She's lazy as well. We see her on the farm. She's lazy.
yeah,
You know, she's. But yeah, we don't. Yeah, all right. I take your point generally.
I will say that the original poem is sort of like that too. It just seems really like, oh, there she goes. There's not really much.
Have you read it?
Yes, I read it a couple years
Oh,
ago.
nice,
Yeah, but there's
nice. I've not read the poem.
there's not much to it, honestly. So maybe it's just a lack of source material. Let's
But
see.
that's a shame because Disney, one of the strengths is they've often taken scant source material and interpolated it, or used that just as inspiration for some quite inspired stories, right?
Yeah, and I think they could have done a little more here with that, but it still works. I mean, I never really questioned it till today, so that might be a me problem. Um. Okay, so she's in the army. I like that she isn't superhuman. I like that she continues to be kind of
Yeah,
weak.
she
Um.
has an arc where she develops as well, which in a song, but I like the arc.
Yeah. Yeah. I. Okay, should we talk about Mushu? Because my next note is about Mushu.
If it's time to talk about Mushu, we can talk about Mushu.
Why did Mushu?
I
Why did Mushu send them to the front lines when they could have just stayed in camp and everything would have been fine?
Oh no, that's fine, right?
What do you mean?
All right, I'm fine with the general idea of Mushu, right? Like we learn from the start from the ancestors, he got the previous person killed because he's a himbo. He's not even a himbo. He's just dumb, right? He's a dumb boy.
He's stupid.
Um,
Yeah.
he's stupid. He's genuinely stupid. But they don't rub you in his face. He just makes these dumb decisions, and so he wants them to go forward so she can be a war hero because all he's thinking about is I need her to be a war hero so I look great. We're going to redeem you all. I'm going to look great in front of the other people. And he makes bad, selfish, dumb decisions, and that's fine. I don't think it's profound or anything, or like the most best writing ever. But I like the fact that they establish at the start that he's stupid, and they don't need to mention it again. And then you just see him make dumb decisions for the rest of the movie, and they don't need to point them out and be like, "You're so dumb, Mushu," and he's need to be like, like he's a fool.
Yes. Oh, but it's so
Or do you think that
annoying.
doesn't work?
It's so annoying. Because he's also supposed to be her sidekick. And he just,
He's a bad sidekick.
he's horrible.
All right, I'll give you this, right? A lot of the movie moves forward because of certain contrivances, right?
Yeah.
Without Mushu, it wouldn't really the plot would stall. Okay. The other thing though is that then it kind of doesn't come up like Mushu's never called out on the fact that he's he when they're in the mountains and they have the moment and they're just talking about everything that went wrong. Milan's been discovered and they have their little heart to heart. I don't know if you remember that, but and then Milan's like, oh, maybe I went for selfish reasons, and then Mushu's like, oh, I took you along for selfish reasons. He says it, but then nothing really comes of that ever. Like he admits he's a bad man, but then no one ever gets annoyed, and then they just carry on, and it's like, all right, she continues to trust him and take his advice. So
Yeah. It's
I
weird.
think I, I think I'm fine with him making them go to the front and make all these bad decisions, but there's never any comeuppance for him.
No, he's awful. Yeah, she's awful.
Did you find him funny?
Sometimes, but after a while, he just got more and more annoying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you find him funny?
I thought there were some really good jokes with Mushu, but I think Eddie Murphy was at this point in his career where he could turn up and do kind of what he wanted, and people would just let him. I feel like someone needed to tell him to rein it in a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I
And you
mean,
hate Mushu.
I hate him, but I mean, he works. I'm torn because without Mushu, I think the movie would be even more flat. But you're also like constantly torn between like Chinese culture, American culture, and it's just a lot to take in, and it just is very incongruous. And it makes me wish they had found a way to incorporate more, I guess, Asian humor in the movie instead of leaning on Mushu.
It's
I
gonna
don't
be a bit
know.
wild, but he feels a little like blackface.
Yeah,
um,
I see what you
like
mean.
not that's not fair. Like Eddie Murphy is black, but what I mean is just that it felt like there were all these jokes, and they were just like, haha, he's like an over the top black pastor. And I just didn't understand where that humor's coming from or why they decided to invoke this trope. I'm like, what is this about?
Yeah.
Why is this necessary? And the humor in his character is literally just that he's like way over the top, but in a way which is like quite.
It does feel a little appropriative of his culture too. I mean, but like not not in the best way. I don't know if that's making sense, but yeah. It just works against both, if that makes sense.
I'm
Yeah.
probably not the person to be making this criticism, you know.
Well, I
Like the
think it's
pastiest boy you've met, but
okay, so where are we now? Mulan is so bad at acting. She's so bad.
wow,
Um,
okay,
let's see.
really, she didn't strike me like I never was like, wow, what a good voice actress, but I never thought she
Oh
was
no,
terrible.
I don't mean the actress. I mean Mulan the
Oh, the
character.
character.
She's
Oh yeah, that's true.
she's
The characters are all really stupid. There's a lot of contrivances in this plot.
yes, there. But you know, I could overlook that, I guess. So going to another Mushu mess up, he summons the Huns. The Huns come crashing down on them.
That,
Um, this is
the Huns were
definitely
already there, I don't know.
yeah. He just let them know that they're there,
Yeah,
and
I guess.
this whole scene is certainly the best scene of the film. I thought.
Really,
Well, not them attacking them, but just the avalanche and the aftermath of the avalanche. Um,
really.
yes, yes.
Wow. This action scene feels flat to me, but carry on.
Well, it's not so much the action scene, but I think it's a moment, and it leads to the big moment where she gets found out. Obviously, after
Oh, is that the big moment?
yes, yeah, after she she saves them all from Mushu's mess up, and she saves Li Shang's life, and she kills the Huns, and she's on top of the world. Then and they find out she's a girl, and then she's almost killed, left to die.
She gets
Um,
cancelled, yeah.
she gets canceled. That was the scene that really stood out to me when I was a child. Like I think I forgot the rest of the
Interesting.
movie except that one scene, and
Why is that?
I think it's because you know a lot of Disney films are very simplistic in their messaging. Like you just have to work hard enough. You just have to team up with the right people. You just have to keep trying. You know, everything will turn out fine. And that's kind of the message of a lot of these Disney films, or just have hope and believe and have courage. And Mulan has all of these things, and she's done more than she needed to do to prove herself. But there's things that are more powerful than you know you being a plucky heroine. Like there's things like prejudice and the law, which in this case works against her. And so, just I think seeing her being abandoned, being left to potentially starve on the mountain was just very traumatizing to me when I was a child. And, but in a good way,
Oh.
like it kind of taught me that, yeah, the world isn't fair and people aren't fair. And that, yeah.
So it's like when Mufasa died. Like you
Yeah.
said last week, it was traumatizing when Mufasa died. I'd say yeah.
Is
We
this
are actually of the same mind, but with different movies.
so? This series is just going to be about recounting our childhood sad moments in movies.
lot of beloved children's movies have really sad moments, you know.
Yeah.
I think that's why kids' movies should tackle weighty topics in a way that's age appropriate, you know?
Yeah, and I think that scene was so effective because instead of just a lot of talk about the culture and superstition or whatever it was earlier in the film, it was just kind of there. Like, here's actually a scene that enforces it and shows it playing out. And that's just very powerful and memorable to a small child. And yeah, I guess that was the big moment for me. And it it's sad. It's depressing. But I mean, it's a lesson people have to learn that sometimes you do your best and you still you still fail in a way. So, um, and then on top of that, she
Can
gives up.
I?
Yes,
Sorry, go on.
I
Go
was gonna
on.
say on top
No,
of
she
that,
gives
she
up.
gives up. Yeah, it's just like
So
yeah,
I'm surprised it was the scene. I wasn't expecting it to be the scene that you said. I mean, it makes sense now that you say that, right? But I thought you were going to say the scene, and now that I think about it, and now you say those things, maybe the scene actually stuck with me more than I thought. But I thought you were going to talk about the scene where they're marching along, they're singing, you know, a girl we're fighting for, and then suddenly they arrive at where they expect the troops to be in the front, and then there's a
um,
ruin, and it just goes silent. It cuts silent, right?
yeah,
And they just see the ruins of the city. And the guy's like, "Where's the army?" And then they go over the crest of the hill, and they see the army has been wiped out, right? And I remember that
mhm,
really struck me as a kid. The first few times I saw it before we watched it way too much, but that really struck me just because I don't think it was anything super profound, but it was just a really effective way of showing, like, I guess, the ruin of war, and like one of those moments where like you realize that, you know, it's kind of fun story, but these things are like very serious actually in real life, and like really drives the stakes forward. And I mean, it is a little bit. I say it's not a subtle scene, right? But they didn't they didn't need to show the death for you to
right,
understand
yeah,
the consequences of the death, which is now the absence of any life here.
hmm,
And I remember finding that powerful. I don't think it was as powerful to me as obviously the scene you're talking about was to you, but
well,
I guess this film has multiple moments.
it does, and the doll is a good
The
metaphor
doll,
too. Yeah,
and she picks up the doll and she looks at it forlornly, and that is
yeah,
there's a lot communicated. I
yes,
I actually think the visual storytelling in this movie is very good at some points.
yeah,
I think there's some points where no one has to say anything and they communicate very, like with Li Shang
Li
Shang
Shang.
Li Li Shang right there. Then he gets his father's helmet and he's past it, and he goes and he puts the sword in and puts it on.
Yeah.
And there's just some great sequences,
Mhm.
like you. I think this film can be a bit boring, go into more why, but I think there are some great sequences where they just establish a lot by saying very little, and that's good.
Yes. And manages to hit the right emotional notes. Like I would agree that scene with the ruins of the village or whatever it was, really is sobering without having to be graphic or anything. Um
There's a good movie in here. It just needed some paring back.
Maybe a little more editing. I didn't I'll be real, I don't have a lot more to say about the rest
All right.
of the movie.
What did you think of the final act? Because
Oh, yeah.
one thing I'll say is, in a way, you say that that film enforced this idea with you, and I think that's good. But she does then just carry on being determined and plucky, and eventually does get her success, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, happy ending. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a Disney movie. It's got to have a happy ending, unless it's the Fox and the Hound. I didn't enjoy I've never liked the last part, just because I really don't care about the Emperor. Does anyone care about the Emperor?
He has. He seems like a friendly old man, but he speaks in confounding riddles, and it's very irritating. I wish they would have just made him like speak normally. I don't think the Emperor of China would actually speak in like weird proverbs, you know, like
Yeah,
the apple falls from the tree because of gravity. Right, that was
it
pretty
was
bad
just
impression.
very stereotypical. Very
Yeah, and they were all like, No matter how much the wind, banger proverb by the way, but no matter how much the wind howls, the mountain will not bow to it, which is great. But it's like, oh come on, man, come on, man.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like the whole ending hinges on you caring about him. I really don't care about him. So
Care about Milan.
yeah. Well, yeah, but she has some dumb decisions at the end. Like she leaves a sword for Shan Yu. Like I don't know, she cuts the rope, the sword gets lodged in the column, and then he picks it up and starts chasing people. It's like, come on.
Yeah, but she's inexperienced in combat and blah blah blah. But yeah, contrivance, sure.
Well, she's supposed to be smart. She's really smart, right? Ugh.
Yeah, but she's supposed to be smart, but she's also like a kid who's only just been trained in war like recently.
Yeah, I guess so. So on the,
I think she's a kid.
yeah, I've been complaining a lot about it. So one good thing about the movie is it is about using your brains more than anything. I think that's a
Yeah,
good
yeah.
message. I think this doesn't come out that strongly, but it ultimately with the happy ending, it's about showing grace and not just being legalistic, which I think is important. It might not be very I don't know how culturally accurate it is, but I think it's a nice.
Sort of grace, but they also literally blow up a man with fireworks.
Yes, unless you're a Hun, no grace for the Huns. So
The betrayal of the Huns was so racist. Like, no jokes, everyone else is a real character, but all the Huns is evil Mongol hordes, you know?
yeah, they don't even really look human. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. All right. What other good things did you have to say about it?
Well, it was a significant film. I mean, for the reasons I said earlier, and I think that can't be underestimated. I think it doesn't a film doesn't have to be perfect to leave an impact and to influence people in a good way, and I think it was important. It was important to have an Asian, really a truly an Asian American film at that time, and
Yeah,
I don't think Disney has really done that effectively since then. I mean, they tried with Raya, but Raya didn't really do well. So, yeah, Mulan continues to be significant, and in spite of its flaws, which are many.
apt explanation. Do you want some quick thoughts
Yeah, absolutely.
from me? All right. So I will skip over a lot of the thoughts because I have way too many opinions. But I will say I found it boring, right? But I think I found different parts boring. I quite liked the start. I thought it was messy, and I'll come on to my thing. But I like Milan as a character, and the more Milan is on screen, the happier I am, right?
Hmm.
I like her family, and I actually wish we learned more about her family. And they got more screen time because I like her relationship with her dad. Right, basically, I like Milan. I like Shang Yu, Shang Li,
Li
Li
Shang,
Shang,
yes.
Li Shang. I like Li Shang. Um, I I like Milan's family, right? I don't like the side characters.
Mm-mm.
I think the side characters are half cooked and there's too many, right? We've already gone through all the sidekicks, but also her friends are like annoying and cliche and boring, right? They're all just there's the short, angry misogynist, there's just the pathetic weedy guy, and there's just the fat guy, and he likes food, hooray, right? And never get any character, we never get a motivation. They're not funny. They're on screen far too much, and I wish they were just gone, or she had just like one friend who had a good character that was established, you know.
Mhm.
Um, Again, I liked her family, but none of them. Her gran is there, and she's a half baked, and like she gets time in the opening, and then she never comes up again. Her mum is introduced and never comes up again. Her dad gets screen time. I would have liked to see more of her relationship with her and her dad. They could have fleshed that out better. Again, I like Li Shang, but she doesn't actually get that much interaction with Li Shang. I don't know why he loves her by the end, really. Other than obviously like she's a warrior babe and
Yeah.
warrior babes, right? I didn't enjoy the second act very much, right? Because there's a lot of just messing around with her pals who I hate, and yeah, there's some good songs in there, but it just goes slow, right? Oh, the other thing is the bureaucrat character. I don't mind him too much. I think he could be good, but once again, it's another character they kind of introduce,
Hmm.
but he never does anything significant in the plot. He's just there to be annoying.
Yeah.
Um, he all he does is when she's revealed, he's like, a woman. So yeah, they just need to cut out some of these characters. I basically right. I love the Huddens as well. I know you don't like them, but Shan Yu's like he's beastly, right?
Hmm.
Genuinely, they portray him like an animal, and it's pretty racist, but he's a very effective villain because like whenever he's just like sniffing the door, being like, I smell, I smell the Chinese, or whatever, or like he's cutting through pillars, or he just cuts trees in pieces, no
Yeah.
effort. He feels like a freaking beast, and he's very scary. He terrified me as a child. And his
Yeah.
eyes, like that scene where he freaking pops up from the snow, and then his white eyes with a little black dots,
Yeah.
very very terrified me as a child. Very good. Yeah, and I just enjoyed that stuff. I enjoyed the songs. They just kept loading the film with more bad characters who were very cliche.
Hmm.
I'll say this: the movie was pretty funny. There was a lot of very good comedic timing, and there was good slapstick, and there were some good jokes. But again, they just needed to rein it in. We've already said about that. I didn't mind. I don't mind the concept of Mushu, but um, Eddie Murphy feels so out of place in this movie. The tone is just all over the place. You were complaining about Timon and Pumbaa, right?
Hmm.
But Timon and Pumbaa make sense in the story of the Lion King. They represent this kind of carefree,
Sure.
lackadaisical attitude
Yeah.
that is bad. It's bad. He shouldn't Simba. Mushu is just he's a sad place. It doesn't serve much story presence. And I think I agree with you. It would be nice to have more Chinese humor, whatever that means. Yeah, I didn't like the avalanche part. I thought it was clever that she makes an avalanche, but they set up this big conflict and then it's over in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
I actually quite like the ending sequence. The Emperor, who cares? But I just think it's a pretty good, fun ending sequence. It doesn't go on too long. There's a nice, there's some decent action, and Milan kind of uses the things she's learned in the movie to great effect. So that's nice
That's
kind of
true.
payoffs,
Yeah.
nice payoff to earlier moments. What else do I have to say? I remember reading an article last year where there were some of the staff on Milan claimed that they originally wanted the movie to be more of like, I don't know if they said a trans allegory or like to be more queer, but watching back, I kind of think that's nonsense. It's kind of out of nowhere. I remembered that article I read, and I kind of think that was nonsense because I kind of don't think the film had anything meaningful and unifying to say on gender. I think that's relevant to bring up because obviously it's a film about where a girl dresses as a boy to
Yeah.
get her freedom, because it's weird because it's like women can be anything they want, we shouldn't be judge people based on gender so much, but then there's also like the matchmaker who's a bad character, is just like, haha, she's a fat and masculine seeming woman, isn't that funny? And also then
Yeah.
the bureaucrat is like, oh, he's kind of feminine, that's pretty gay,
Yeah.
and so yeah, I don't know, I didn't think there was any deep or meaningful commentary on anything. And I just bring that up because I've seen so much discourse around that over the years, and there was that article, so it's probably just some staff confabulating for brownie points. Yeah, I thought the message about being yourself was kind of, I don't know, it wasn't very strong, was it?
Not
Like
really.
there's this thing about being yourself, but I don't think it lands. I don't think it's a particularly strong theme. I don't think the story did like I think they should have actually, the whole she has obviously the moment at the start with like, who is this girl I see?
Hmm.
I think they could have just cut a lot of those anxieties. They could have just made it more about the fact that she wants to protect her father. They probably should have just focused on the feminism, to be honest, because the story has much more. It's much clearer feminist parable.
Oh yeah, yeah, because she spends most of the film pretending anyway, right?
Yeah,
So I don't
yeah,
know that there's
yeah,
any point in the film. Well, we don't really know who she is, but we also don't see her being herself that much. So, yeah.
yeah. As this very 90s message about authenticity, and it's just a little bit silly. And again, I suppose we don't really know who she is, as you say, so it's hard to say, like, it's like, oh, I'm not authentic, and I guess that doesn't land because we don't, again, what is she hiding? That she doesn't want to be a perfect. I don't know if the Chinese culture stuff works that much because I don't know. I'm not Chinese, but it something about it strikes me as a bit phony. Like they go on about honor and honor and honor and honor, and I'm like, do Chinese people talk about honor this much? Would they really be like, Mulan, you have dishonored me and the family, you brought dishonor on us all? And I'm like, do they really talk about this much? I'm sure it's like culturally important, but they're really rubbing it in. They're really, and it's like they focused on like they picked like one or two themes that they've come across in Chinese literature and or like Chinese culture, and they are really going hard on these. So I don't know.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think there's some truth to that, but they might have overdone it. I mean, I do think even Vietnamese culture, it's important to like save face, right? But did they need to make it all about that and keep like
Yeah.
hammering it
The
in
story
so
can also
hard?
be
I
about
don't
that
know.
without needing to say the word honor every other sentence, like it's not subtle storytelling.
Yeah.
Much as like the
No,
impact
it's
was
not.
made on you on about, the feminist message, right? The impact was made on you there. But it's funny because
Hmm.
it's not like the
Yeah.
movie is like it's not like she turns around and she's like Shan Yu, you are a misogynist. I will kill you now. you know, um, she's not like girl power, girl power. Like there are some things where she's like, you guys should appreciate a woman for speaking her mind and stuff. Sure, but I don't know. The feminist messaging is a bit more subtle, and I think it lands a bit better. I
Yeah.
don't know.
A little bit.
I think overall there's some good stuff in the movie. It just needed better editing. I'll just say I love this. I basically just love "Make a Man Out of You." I just think it's fantastic. It's a great song. The words are fantastic.
It's good. So.
Yeah, there's good moments in the movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it works. I mean, and I think especially for children it works because you don't maybe pick up on some of the other details as much when you're
yeah,
watching it at 6 years old. But
that's
yeah.
everything from me.
Star rating.
What would you give
I went to
Mulan?
go and rate it today on Letterboxd as a 3.5 stars, but apparently last time I watched it, I gave it a 3 stars, and I think that's fair. What did you think?
I was gonna say 3 or
All
three and a
right.
half as well.
Should we say? Should we just
Yeah.
say? We should probably start making a
So
list, but our list is on Letterboxd, isn't it? There we go. I'll make a little shelf or whatever it is on Letterboxd
yeah,
and just like a list and just put all the films on it with our ratings. Yeah.
there you go. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here's something I like to do after any movie I'm a bit negative on. Right. I like to say really quick 5 random things that I liked about the movie. Give me 5 things.
Sure. Yeah.
No, don't give me loads of explanation, but just give me 5 things you appreciate about the movie. And they can be small, they can be big, whatever.
Okay. I like the
Yeah.
scene where she's sitting with her dad under the pink tree.
Yeah.
Of course, I like "Make a Man Out of You." Great song. I liked the
Yeah.
animation of like the
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
crowds,
Yeah.
like not crowds, the armies, the armies. I like
That's fair.
Mushu's
Yeah.
design. I hate the character, but I like his design. And
He is a good
I like
character.
Li Shang. He's a good
All right.
character. Good guy.
I liked Li Shang as well. I'll say I like Li Shang as well. I liked there's this one moment where it's in the song where they want a woman. I can't remember the name of the song. And the fat guy's singing about pork and food that he wants from his wife. and it's all in the cool art, calligraphy art style, and then it fades into statues, and
Yeah,
I don't know
I know what you're talking
why.
about.
Like it fades into statues in the background, but I just love that. I don't know why, I just love that. I love the horse. They cut all the other animal sidekicks, just have the horse. I like the horse. Just love horses in Disney movies, like Maximus, great horse.
Hmm.
I liked. I generally like the soundtrack. Even just the backing music is fun. Even outside of the big pieces, I thought it was some quite pretty. And
Yeah,
then I thought I like just some of the '90s music as well. It's really cheesy, but like the song over when she's like preparing to be a soldier was like so very '90s, and it was just a blast from the past. Yeah, yeah. All right, great. Should we call that a wrap? Great. All right. Thank you everyone for listening. We'll be back next time for Groundhog Day. Goodbye.
goodbye.